Let me introduce myself. My name is William Taylor, and I'm 40US's Technical Account Manager. I work with 40 developers in the 40 community in order to maintain 40's footprint in the marketplace, in order to help you guys continue to sell your applications. Sometimes that requires a little bit more support or a little bit more technologies that you don't know. We come in, we help you, and then we get out. Our goal here is not to talk with your end customers. It's to help you guys and really to help you be able to sell more. Please.
How often do you not even know who the end customer is?
Generally, we know who the end customer is because you'll see the logo. So,
No,
louder?
The developer sells.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Can you please, he has a question. Thank you, Yosef. So,
Given that 4D and others of the desktop mode sell through developers to end customers.
yes.
I'm just curious as to how often the end customer, you don't even know who the end customer is.
Sometimes we do.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's
But
not-
why is it necessary to know the end customer? If
Well,
it's, I guess, I mean, we don't deal with, I mean, we're not dealing with terrorists, I guess.
no.
But I don't know, what's the point?
Well, it's, I'm a mainframer, so
Yeah, okay.
it's a different model.
Yeah.
And I've just been curious as to, okay.
I guess we
it's
do,
not a requirement. I'm just.
I don't see it as long as it's not, as long as they're not doing bad things.
That's not my question at all.
I know, but I'm not, so, because does that have a, yeah, but by all means.
My follow-up question is data, customer data. How do
Okay.
you, as a partner then, with us on a contract,
Okay.
how do
well,
we assure our client that?
We're totally going to talk about that. But thank you, yeah, that's Yusuf's slide. Yusuf will go into that more and what we're doing in order to be RGPD compliant, which is the new European standard. So it's for personal data storage and how we do it. And I'm working with the legal team. I'll just tell you, I'll answer your question right now. I'm currently working with the legal team, the lawyers in France, RGPD. Yeah. Okay, so they have, in order to define the process so that we can work with you to define which data are sensitive, how we store them, where we store them, who has access, and when we destroy them. And that's going to be a thing, but it's something that we are very, very conscious of, and so we need to be able to have their data sometimes, right? So okay, so my name is William Taylor. And please, by all means, if anybody has any questions, it's not a problem. And we have Youssef El Azraq with me. He's a professional services manager in 40 Morocco. I work with the partners in the US, and then I work also with Youssef to with his team, because his team has all of the competencies that we're going to hear about. So actually, he does the work. So I'm just a pretty face. So professional services, how can we help you, right? That's what we're here for. How do we help you as a developer to get your product into more hands and have you make more money and have you have better vacations? That's my goal. That's what I like. It's a good goal, right? So because I mean, software is it's complicated, no? It's not easy. It's not like rocket surgery, but it's not easy. So pretty much what we're going to talk about today is why we started, what we do. I'm going to introduce the team just a little bit. I mean, you have us too, and we would be your main contacts generally, and then also with developers in Morocco with various competencies. And in France, and in the US, and kind of, the team is 34 people. Yeah. So how we work, we have a testimonial from Elizabeth. So she'll come up next. Well, we'll let her talk. It should be a great thing. And then we have some Q&A, but by all means, if anybody has any questions, grab the mic and shout away. All right? So why we started. So many developers came to us and say, hey, we need help with the following. Increasing our skill set, because we don't have a competency. Our client is asking us to do X. I don't know X, and I don't have time to learn X. How do I do it just for this project? I need to have an LDAP integration. How do I do that? I don't know what that is. So you call us up and say, okay, we find you a developer. We find you can work with a partner, another developer, or we can, if we have the competency in the team, we can say, okay, we'd have the expert that does this. You'll be satisfied, and there you can go, and then you'll have the code to learn and you can probably do it again yourself. We also demonstrate the best practices. So we go in and we can audit your code. So, and we can demonstrate best practices and better ways to do things or new modern ways to do things because things have changed from version 1 to version 17. We also revamp your legacy applications. A common complaint that we have from the customers, say a large corporation you have a large corporation and there's a new IT manager. This 4D, I don't know what it is. This doesn't do what I want it to do. And then they call us and be like, hey, what's up with that application? I don't even know what you are. No. So we explain a little bit. And we find out the reason why the application doesn't do what they want it to do is because they're on version 6. So you can imagine, right? Like, well, you didn't invest or you didn't. Yeah, it's normal it doesn't do stuff because it's not there. But if we go to 17, it'll be there, or 16. So that's how we revamp legacy applications by kind of rekindling the embers, or I don't know, so of an old application. We also help you to extend your 4D apps to the web or to mobile. You saw the 4D for iOS stuff. It's pretty cool. It's actually rad. A lot of the times, doing that new development is a new world. It's a new thing, so we can help you with that. And then we work with you through mentoring. So we like kind of sharing code and sharing ideas and things like that. So you learn at the same time. You learn by doing. You have your actual project. And then you're able to learn and then pick up as we go along. That's something that we do a lot, and for me that's a great model. To go to a training for 5 days is hard. It's like training concentrate in your head, and then when you leave, it's kind of like, what was that? Right? I don't know. That's how I am, but maybe you're better than me. I don't know. We also support you with testing. So a lot of customers, they say, I don't have time to test my thing. I need to deliver right away, but I don't have time to test it. So we can either help you testing functionally, or we can help you set up a continuous integration cycle. That's something that's commonly demanded now. And that requires a whole breadth of knowledge of different technologies that you're not necessarily able to, that you don't know off the top of your head, so we can help get you there if that's what you need. So also, an important thing to think about is every RFP that you don't respond to is an RFP that you can't win, right? That's for request for proposal. This is RFP, RFQ. A company X starts their RFP process, and then you have to show your system architecture, and you have to show you this and how your application can do this and that, in order to be able to respond, in order to be able to bid, to place a bid on the application for big applications. Well, that takes a lot of time. That's a lot of time up front for work that you're not necessarily going to gain. But if you don't try, you never win, right? So we can help you with that. We make the specification with you, and then you have the specification. That's something that's really, it can be helpful in order to be able to get your applications out there more, and then you have the architecture to be able to then go forward. And kind of the confidence that you'll have a proven solution, you'll have a good solution to be able to take to the customer or use again next time. 4D web and mobile development, we spoke about that. So third-party maintenance, Yusuf will go into that a little bit more in his session. But that's pretty much, you have a ton of legacy applications. You have to maintain, you have to make sure the bugs get fixed, you have this. But there's not a lot of development on these applications. You're just tilling a field, pretty much. So what we help you do is, and actually Elizabeth is using this service, we're working with her on this, is pretty much, she just gives us the application and we just run with it. So that way you can continue getting paid. You don't have to worry about that application, and you can go look for a new business. But she'll talk more about that in detail. Tailored solutions, if you need something, so Taylor, my name is William Taylor, so that's why. So that's something that we do, that we can do if you need an application done right away, and then we give you the code, and you continue with it. But it all depends if it requires this. Quality assurance, that's a testing, and then database migration, that's the revamping of the legacy application. So going from version 6 to version 16 is difficult. It's not an easy task, so we can help you do that and explain. And what we do is then we explain how and why we made every change that we did, so that way you can then know what changed between the two. So you have a diff. We make the diff for you, and we explain, and we work with you on that diff in order to make sure that you're up to speed. What's up? Oh, please, Yusuf? Because yeah.
Migrations are always dangerous,
Yes, they are.
to be charitable. Do you have a suite of migration tools?
Yes, we
that
have.
for internal use, but not for external commercial use?
No, we have a suite of tools. They're called the team. So, and they are for commercial use. I mean, you
Okay.
can, but that's a joke. All joking aside, we have guys on the team that have been around for long enough to be able to know exactly what needs to be done and where. So that is a tool and a resource that we use, if that makes sense. But there are no tools.
What do you mean by tool? Because in the migration projects, I will show this later, we have some tasks that we perform to be sure that migration is done in the right way. So there is no tool to perform the migration. We have tasks to perform to be sure that.
And there's no silver bullet. We
Yeah.
don't have, and we don't have something on our side that we wouldn't share with.
We will talk about this
You
later.
have skilled craftsmen.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Know when to apply a
Exactly.
jackhammer and a sledgehammer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, but no specific software tool that says
Yeah.
launch application.
Yeah.
Application launcher, don't give to client. Don't give to developer. But good question, thank you. So the team is made up pretty much like this. We have our Wakanda experts. We have our 4D experts. We have the quality assurance portion, so we test our stuff before we give it to you. We have the documentation people, so they make sure that you get something so that you can show your management also at the end, the final reports, the testing reports, what was done, things like that. They have the processes experts. A lot of the work that we do is refining processes with the client. So I go into the company, I try to understand what they're doing. I mean, especially in business applications, these business applications, you have to know that this person does this at this time and this. And there can be legal ramifications. We work with a mediation firm in San Francisco. Like there are legal ramifications if they don't do things within a certain time period. So these are just things that we need to take into consideration. And I work with them on refining their processes. And we have the UML at the end, and everything makes sense. And then they're able to take that, and then we can refine the process. And then so I think you saw this yesterday. That's pretty nice. So Eric showed this slide yesterday in the business keynote, and there are a lot of technologies that I honestly don't know what they are. But guys on the team know what these are. These are experts in this field. So there's a wide variety of things that projects that we've done or things that they've done before in their previous lives.
Hi, I'm Ray Harstick from Relevant.
Hey.
Last time when we investigated doing a project,
Yeah.
we learned that the Morocco team was really heavily into Angular. And I'm from the Boston area where the JavaScript scene has turned from heavily Angular to heavily React. And I was wondering, has that happened in Morocco, or are you guys still heavily Angular? And has the React team developed? And
We have experts in many.
Please, so yeah.
We have experts in many technologies, so we can work on React, Angular,
So
each
yes.
kind of JavaScript frameworks. It will work.
Please, yeah, follow up.
so a follow-up question. So I think what Gary was alluding to earlier is that do you guys have like a shell of some sort in Angular or in React where you can almost pour a structure into the shell, maybe repaint a few screens, and then you're off and running?
Templates? You have a system of templates?
Templates. Yeah.
So yeah, we
I mean,
work with it.
that's the generic way you might think of it. But.
Yeah, I mean, we do have some templates that we like to use, and I mean, that's just to help you. And these are things that we already have done. The issue that we get into having with templates is that you can't always, once it's used for a customer, you can't use it for the other customer, right? Depends. It depends. Some people really like their design. Some people don't want. If you're working with DirecTV, you can't use the DirecTV logo and DirecTV stuff like the guide, the grid, in Comcast, for example. That just doesn't. That would be bad if you tried to show them that. So we do use templates and we do use these frameworks. And when you work, if we do a bespoke development, what we would do is there's a designer and he would propose 3 designs. And he said, oh, what do you think of these kind of 3 looks and feels, 3 different looks and feels? That's the way I like to work, because I like to have I'm not going to put something in front of you if you don't like it, right? There'll be 3 different styles, maybe a more modern, more contemporary style, more brick and mortar. I wireframe, yeah. So I do, yeah, I work with that, with the process. That's the processes part generally, the wireframing, because you really want to get the processes down. I use Marvel app, and I go in and I try and figure out what they want. Because sometimes these are new customers, you don't know what they don't know what they want. So it's better for me to try and understand, and then it's better to critique. So I wireframe and we critique that way. That way you critique the wireframe, not me. Just shifting the blame. So, it's cool? Thank you. So, that's it for me until the end. I'm going to let Yusuf talk, and he'll talk to you about how we work, and then we'll have the testimonial. So, go.
So thank you, William. So I will try to introduce our work process in the professional services team. So this is the 4Ds process, the workflow that we follow for each kind of professional services project. Basically, at the beginning, we will need to discover the project to have an exact idea about what we should do. Then we will design the solutions that will meet your needs. After that, we will develop and set up those solutions, and finally, we will deliver it to you. So, as I said, each kind of process of professional services project will start by your request. It's the first time when you will express your needs to the sales team. Then we will be notified that there is a new project in the pipeline, and we will assign a consultant that will follow up with you until the end of the project. Also, as we said, basically for many kinds of services that we can work on, we will need at the beginning to recover your database to have an exact idea about the project, and also to be able to propose the exact solutions that will meet your needs. And sometimes we will also need to recover the data file, so you will ask the question, how can you protect our data? So for that, we are working on a data protection policy to meet also the European law. So first, we will evaluate the sensitivity of your data. We will ask you some questions to measure the risk of keeping your data in our side. Just to give you an example, if your data files are mainly related to health or private life, we will not recover your data file. We will perform the developments locally, and when we will need the data at the final phases of the project, for example, for testing or stuff like that, we will do this remotely or on your premise. Then, if we judge that the risk is not very high, we will try to filter the sensitive data as much as possible. We can work with you on this, for example, by encrypting them. Then when the data is ready to be recovered, of course, we will sign all the legal contracts for that. And as long as we are keeping the data on our side, we will guarantee its security by putting them in a complete protected storage space. And finally, when the project will be closed, the data will be automatically destroyed, and you will be notified of that.
Can I anonymize my data before you?
Yeah.
Yes,
I
of
can.
course.
So now
Yes, you
once
can.
I do that, then you don't have to worry about, okay,
Exactly.
got it.
If that anonymization is good enough for you, and we can help you.
So after that, when we have an exact idea about what we should do, then we will design the solutions that will meet your needs. So first, we will prepare a statement of work, which is a document containing the whole solution design, the resources that will work on the project, the deliverables, so all project details. Then once we will validate the document with you, we will organize a meeting with all project stakeholders to kick off the project. And we will give you access to our customers, our project management tool, Zoho, to allow you to follow up with us until the end of the project. So, as I said, Zoho is, can you click again? Zoho is a very useful tool that will allow you to collaborate with us in real time. For example, to create and modify tasks to see the work progress, also to manage the bugs, to follow up with the milestones, share documents, communicate with us, etc. So now the next phase is the development. So here it's really related to each kind of service. So to save time, I will focus only on the main services that we are able to provide to help you. So globally, we really recommend to start any professional services project with an application audit service because it's very helpful to perform complete inventory of your applications to detect the weaknesses, and this will help us to propose some recommendations to deal with this, and maybe this will lead us to propose other kind of services to implement our recommendations. So this service globally starts by an identification of the most important needs and constraints and principal features. Then our experts will, as I said, perform a complete review of your application to give you an audit report containing, as I said, the complete inventory and also our recommendations and proposals to improve your applications. We are also able to work on database migration services. So here is, as you know, the fact of executing your application using the latest 4D version to benefit from 4D improvements in terms of security, performance, new features, etc. So here, please note that we are performing ISO functional migration, which means that your application must still work exactly as the same way as before. So for that, at the beginning, in the requirements analysis phase, we will need to identify the principal features of your application to understand the business logic, and then to write the test cases that will help us to be sure that your application is still working as the same way as before after we perform all migration tasks. We also, at the beginning, will identify a strategy for plugins and components adaptation, because as you know, some plugins and components are not compatible with the latest 4D version. So here, we will need to make some developments to replace those components and plugins. Then we will prepare your database for the migration, verifying and compacting the structure file, etc. Then, finally, we will perform the migration tasks, managing, for example, the localization. If your application is working on many languages, so we'll need to handle resources and XLIF file. Then we will optimize the database structure, for example, managing primary keys, missing links, subtables. Also, we'll work on optimize the forms and methods to handle deprecated comments, compilation errors, etc. And finally, we will update your database settings to, as I said, benefit from 4D evaluations and improvements. We can also work, of course, on development projects, even for desktop, web, or mobile devices applications. So here it can be from scratch development, but also if some customers are using old applications and they want to revamp it, so we can help them for this too. So for that, we follow a classical agile process. Starts by defining highest priority user stories for each sprint. Then project managers can see the work progress and deal with showstoppers. Once we finish, we can have a demo with the customer to show him what has been achieved. And finally, we will deliver it and goes to the next sprint. Also, the quality of our development deliverables is very important for us. So for that, we have an internal validation process, which starts by test cases identification based on the specification of the application. Then when the development will be done, we will execute those tests, manage the bugs. Also, our experts will perform a code review to be sure that we are following 4D best practices. And then, of course, we will validate the product to be delivered. And I will finish by one of the most important services that we are able to provide is the third-party maintenance. So here it's important because it involves many kind of profiles in our team, but also because it will help you to benefit from a long-term support. So the complete task list of what we can do for this kind of services is really related to each kind of project and customers. But what you can see here is globally what we can do for third-party maintenance projects. Of course, we can do code maintenance tasks, code review, bug fixing, etc. We can help you to manage your database by creating and analyzing reports using the info report component. We can compact and verify the structure. We can also help you on managing your documentation, even functional or technical documentation, and also to add new features to your applications following a classical, agile, classical development process. And so if you are following some processes to manage your application, we can also help you to optimize those processes to manage the applications. So, and finally, when all project batches will be delivered and validated, the team will work on some final reports depending on each kind of service. It can be some user manuals or testing documents. And finally, of course, we will deliver the whole package to you, and the project will be definitely closed. So now I pass it over to Elizabeth, our customer from CLCM. She's working with us on a third-party maintenance project, and she's happy with us, actually. And maybe we will have other kinds of projects, development, migration, etc. So I'll let her to share her experience with us. Thank you.
So thank you, Youssef. Thank you, Will. So just they paid me really to say that I'm happy. So so I am Elizabeth Chavonaz-Humez, and I created CLCM developments 30 years ago. We create tailored solutions for manufacturers and big companies, such as aeronautics in the business jets industry, and even for airlines to manage the customer profile based on their seat preferences in first classes. We also developed software solution for large manufacturer in the beauty, wood, and most interesting, champagne industry. We use, of course, 4D to link tools together to manage all aspects of modern production lines. Of course, CLCM has developed a lot of management projects too. Just to say that development is the core of the CLCM's genes for 30 years. So in one word, leaders, employees, managers, or developers, whether you work in industrial branch or service, I lived what you daily live, and I mostly understand your needs and dreams. So, with so many clients, why do we have problems to solve? Here is the picture that illustrates the position that CLCM was in. If we consider the volume of the glass as the amount of work that can be accomplished in one day, at work, we fill this glass with small, urgent tasks, represented here like grains of sand. And large development tasks are represented like rocks, big rocks. In the modern workspace, with client yelling, phone ringing off, of the hook, even babies crying. We have a tendency to tackle the urgent tasks first, leaving this time to large development tasks. What we should be doing is like the picture on the right, mix the urgent task with the large task in order to achieve more. So see how everything fits in our days if we could do like this. So this can be dealing with urgent cases, delivering a new version soon, developing new features clients are asking for. For real, in real life, we don't have time to even begin a fundamental task. We all lived that once a time, no? So, or perhaps you are living it at that time. You are no more aligned with the vision, the goals, or your objectives for your company. So you, the goals you would expect for you. So what can we do about it? So what we just do is to procrastinate. So I want you to think big. So just a mantra, think big. Okay, I will propose you to consider taking a step back and think about how would you expect a magical help. Like your fairy godmother just next to you would do, a developer next to you who understands your objectives and your ideas. At the same time, you are just begin to think of it. Or more, not a developer, but a whole team. 4D Professional Service is your fairy godmother and allows you to likely think about the sky as your limit. We propose you to dream, I propose you, to dream of a fairy godmother that realized your dream for real. So your fairy godmother can begin at 3 a.m. Eastern Time and finish around 1 p.m. So at 1 p.m. every day, you have on your desk the solution you dreamt of. Just think about the chance we have to have that kind of optimal time difference between one region of the US and the other, or even with France or even Morocco. So you wake up, and the 4D team will present you what they developed during your night. So that was just a dream. You want it? Okay, I don't think I can. Okay, never mind. Let's talk about my experience. So we had a software to maintain, to upgrade, with weekly features to develop for day-to-day user needs. Besides, I knew that I will lose the customer if I won't be able to keep up with their urgent request and provide future developments at the same time. Opening the software to web for its own customers, dealing with new imported data from providers, and reshape all its application and so on. My team was underwater, so I knew that we will need extra help. I know Aziz El Gomari for a couple of decades, so I don't know if I should say that, but we are old. And as we hopefully met back during a 4D conference in Montreal, he presents me his new 4D professional services, and it could be a solution for us. But on the other hand, I was upset to spend time, to explain a whole software with a lot of year and to new developers and to explain why we need that feature and so on, excuse me. So 4D Professional Services swiped really all my upsetting thoughts. Youssef really built a team for me as a whole real team I have in my company. So I just made a demo of the actual software to present it to the 4D team in order to explain the goal and of this rebuild, why we need it. Then we decided to begin 2 weeks later in order for 4D professional services to build the environment for the application, the environment of the project management, and for me to write down the first task I wanted to do during the first sprint. But as you can probably understood, when I dream, I like to see my dreams become true in short time. So I asked Youssef to begin 1 week before, because I wanted to be able to present a possible shape of features to the customer. I had this meeting with a client to show how progress of the rebuild application on Friday. I felt that we could never be able to deliver on time with the current resource that we currently had allocated to the 4D professional service team. Youssef took this point to heart and provided our team with the support of Wafa, an experienced 4D developer that evening. And thanks to his reactivity and understanding of his part, I was able to give a great presentation of the next day. So, 4D professional services is not like another provider. Other contractors would have told me, hey, excuse us, we will be late. We will deliver you on Monday. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. 4D professional service people and services is not that at all. Really, I can tell you. So they are just like your own team, your own people. They care of you, and they are part of your own team. They do not behave like typical external contractor. And that is the big picture with them. After that episode, I knew that 4D Professional Services was not just a third-party contractor, but a real extension of my own team, company. Even my own team, my people, was impressed by their behavior. Because, at the beginning, my team was doubtful of my choice to deal with 4D professional services and other contractors. So that episode showed us at CRCM that 4D professional services are like members of my only team. Thank you for your attention, and feel free to speak to me or afterwards.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very
So thank you very much, Elizabeth. Thank you. It's very nice. Thank you. And those are really cool emojis, by the way. She made them. She made them.
My mistakes and
No, I didn't hear any. So, I guess we have a couple minutes left before the 2 minutes left. So we went over a little bit. So does anybody have any questions for right now for the team? You can always. I have my card. I have my business card. We can talk later or any pressing matters. Anything that wasn't clear, or for myself, Youssef, Elizabeth?
Hi, Youssef and Elizabeth. Can you talk about the handoff to your team? Are you, for instance, Elizabeth, are you having 4D Morocco maintain your app, or was it handed over to your team? And Youssef, what is the normal procedure? Do you normally hand off the app to a 4D developer and then they maintain it? How do you get them up through the learning curve? Is I guess what I'm asking.
Okay. So how did it work? I guess So she's a third-party maintenance. Yeah. So I guess that wasn't clear from. So she does the third-party maintenance. Oh yeah, please. Ah oui. Les questions en français? Oui. Ah, d'accord. Comment vous avez fait le handoff entre toi et en fait Youssef? Comment ça a marché? Comment ils ont appris aussi vite?
Okay. We did a demo first with the team and Youssef. First with just Youssef in order to show him the industry background and all that. Yeah, in fact, yeah.
So we could just turn to Youssef and How do you get that development team on the other side up to speed on
Oh.
Angular or
Up to speed on, so yeah, okay, interesting. So,
whatever the technology use was?
I understand the question. So the question is if we do a ton of development in Morocco, like on the other side of the ocean, how is your team not going to be lost
The worst
with
thing in
the?
the world is maintaining third-party code that you can't make heads or tails.
I totally understand. So yes, I hear you. Yeah, you don't want us just to dump software on your lap. That's what I hear. Okay. No, it's so we deliver iteratively already. So first off,
It's agile.
we deliver iteratively so we can make sure that every 2 weeks you have a code delivery. So every 2 weeks you have the new stuff and everything is explained like there. Okay, that's the first thing. So you have it you learn piecewise.
And in fact,
Granted, that's not please.
Yeah, daily. I have a new version daily was what they did during the day, and I can, just adjust if there is some questions or so.
But if there is a new technology, then we would then need to go through.
Yeah.
There's a learning curve. There is a learning curve. There would need to be training, the mentoring process, or things like that. Like it would be.
Build it into the statement of work.
That would be built into the statement of work because we don't want. Yeah, that's the worst thing. We want you to use this code, and we want you to learn from it so that you have something else in your handbag, in your toolbox.
Because,
Does that make?
speaking from the developer standpoint, the worst thing in the world is knowing that
Yep.
you should be doing, let's say, a SaaS app,
Yep.
and you outsource to Morocco, you get the SaaS app,
You have no idea.
your team doesn't have time to come up to speed on it.
All the comments are in French,
Yeah.
for example, or Russian, or no. But I totally understand what you're saying, and that is part of the learning curve, and that is something that we will build into the statement of work. That's why we asked you: do you have people on your team that know this already? What's the reason for calling us right now? What we need to assess that. That's something that is assessed at the beginning because we don't. If there's a bug, we don't want you to have to call us, or do you know what I mean? Or if you start to do every new thing. That's not our goal. It's not to. We're not pushers, I guess. So.
It sounds like you want to work your way in certain projects out of the job.
That's definitely we're not.
Done, get it back for the developer, let them take over and move forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or to there's that model, or there's also the model where we just take on your legacy code and you don't even think about it anymore, and you go out and win more business. So, but if anybody has any other questions, you can speak to anyone. What's up? We can save it for after. You can come speak to me because I think the next session is starting like right now.